In 2025, Jungkook's name once again carved its way into history, not through a new album release or a global tour announcement, but through something as unexpected as attending a fashion show. The Calvin Klein runway event in New York, an occasion already surrounded by flashing cameras and A-list celebrities, became the very stage where Jungkook's influence transformed into something much larger than fashion. It was at this moment that America itself seemed to recognize him, crowning him with the title of the most popular artist in the United States for 2025. For many, it was a shock that such recognition came directly linked to an appearance at a fashion show. Yet for those who had followed Jungkook's career, it felt like the natural extension of everything he had built. What made this moment even more profound was the reaction from his family, particularly his mother. Reports quickly spread that she shed tears of joy upon hearing the news. To her, this wasn't just another award. It was America acknowledging her son in a way that went beyond the charts, the stage, or the music industry itself. It was the culmination of years of struggle, distance, and sacrifice, crystallized in a single recognition from across the ocean. The story of Jungkook's rise to this honor cannot be explained merely by the fact that he walked the Calvin Klein runway or sat in the front row of the New York show. Rather, it requires an understanding of how every piece of his career has consistently led to this point. His presence alone was powerful enough to alter the atmosphere of the event. As he entered the venue, photographers shifted their focus, attendees whispered his name, and the digital world erupted instantly. Social media platforms in the US trended with hashtags tied to Jungkook, overshadowing even the biggest Hollywood names who attended the same event. For the American public and industry insiders, this moment was about more than admiration. It was about acknowledgement. Jungkook's journey into the American consciousness had been long and layered. His performances on American award shows, his dominance on US streaming platforms, and his cross-cultural collaborations had already prepared the ground. Yet this Calvin Klein show appearance crystallized something intangible. The idea that Jungkook was not just a Korean artist succeeding abroad, but an artist that America itself had chosen as its most popular figure in 2025. The award, considered by many as one of the greatest honors an international artist can receive in the United States, placed Jungkook in a league few had ever reached. The timing could not have been more poetic. While countless artists pushed tirelessly for recognition, Jungkook managed to earn America's most prestigious acknowledgement simply through the authenticity of his presence. He didn't need to announce a new song. He didn't need to headline a tour. His attendance at a fashion show had become an event powerful enough to shift public opinion, stir global trends, and result in tangible recognition. His mother's tears told their own story. For years, she had been the silent figure behind his success, watching from afar as her son built a career that spanned continents. The image of her crying when the news was delivered represents a universal truth. Behind every global superstar is a family that sacrificed and endured. To her, this award wasn't just about her son being popular. It was about recognition of his journey, his resilience, and his ability to inspire millions far beyond Korea. It was about knowing that the boy she raised had touched hearts across the world, and that his name was now cemented in the most competitive entertainment market of all. The awards ceremony itself only amplified this reality. As Jungkook's name was announced, the crowd erupted in cheers that blurred the boundaries between music, fashion, and cultural identity. The cameras captured the surreal blend of awe and pride in his eyes, reflecting the magnitude of the moment. For many who witnessed it, this wasn't just an artist receiving an award. It was history unfolding. The link between the Calvin Klein show and the award might seem unusual at first glance. Yet, in reality, it was the perfect stage for Jungkook's influence to be measured. In New York, the epicenter of American fashion, surrounded by Hollywood's most elite and the industry's biggest names, it was Jungkook who drew the most attention. In an era where visibility and impact defined stardom, this moment showed the world that his presence outshone even the biggest names America had to offer. In the days following the announcement, the media narrative was clear. Headlines across American outlets emphasized how Jungkook had achieved something unparalleled. Analysts highlighted the cultural shift this represented, how a Korean artist could dominate not just through music charts, but through sheer global magnetism. Fans celebrated online, pointing to the fact that Jungkook had managed to achieve this without a conventional campaign for popularity. It wasn't engineered, it was natural. His presence at Calvin Klein, his ability to command global attention, and his resonance with the American audience had all converged at the perfect moment. For Jungkook himself, the award symbolized more than success, it was validation. Validation of years spent perfecting his craft. Validation of taking risks by stepping into new industries. And validation of his place, not just as a K-pop idol, but as a global cultural figure. His face at Calvin Klein was no longer just an image on a billboard. It had become the face of international recognition. Industry experts compared Jungkook's moment to pivotal points in American pop culture history. Some likened it to when the Beatles first arrived in the US and shifted the music industry forever. Others saw parallels with Michael Jackson's global influence in the 1980s, where American recognition was both the result of and the amplifier for worldwide dominance. While comparisons are never perfect, the underlying theme remained the same. Jungkook had crossed into territory few international artists had ever reached. What further fueled this recognition was the convergence of industries at that single Calvin Klein show. Fashion, music, media, and social platforms all aligned around one focal point, Jungkook. In a digital era where cultural moments are measured by their online reach, his presence ignited conversations at a scale rarely seen. Within hours, clips of him at the event dominated TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Major fashion outlets praised his effortless charisma, while music journalists highlighted how this fashion appearance underscored his growing dominance in the American entertainment narrative. The crossover effect was undeniable. He wasn't just the most popular artist in music, he had become the most recognizable figure in popular culture at large. The award announcement, made just days after the Calvin Klein event, seemed less like a coincidence and more like the inevitable culmination of this momentum. America had been watching Jungkook for years, analyzing his growth, acknowledging his achievements, and celebrating his performances. But the New York show crystallized the decision. The fashion world's embrace of Jungkook mirrored the way the American public had already embraced him. It was a reflection of his holistic influence, not just as a singer or dancer, but as a cultural icon. The symbolism of New York as the location also carried weight. The city is often described as the cultural capital of America, the place where fashion, media, and entertainment intersect. To have Jungkook's defining moment occur, there reinforced the idea that he had reached the very heart of American influence. For international artists, cracking New York often means cracking America, and Jungkook had done so with undeniable power. As the dust settled, the discussions turned toward what this recognition meant for the future. Was Jungkook now America's definitive crossover star? Would this award pave the way for even greater opportunities in film, fashion, and beyond. Speculation was rampant, with some predicting collaborations with Hollywood studios, while others suggested that luxury brands would elevate him to an even higher echelon. But beyond speculation, one thing was clear. Jungkook's award marked the beginning of a new era where cultural dominance was no longer limited by geography. In South Korea, news outlets celebrated the victory with national pride. Commentators framed it as another milestone in the nation's cultural exports, positioning Jungkook as a living symbol of how Korean talent could lead on the world stage. But within America, the award wasn't seen as an international achievement, it was seen as an American acknowledgement. That distinction matters. It wasn't about America looking outward to admire a foreign star. It was about America looking inward and realizing that Jungkook had become part of its cultural fabric. For Jungkook's fans, known for their relentless support and organization, this award was also their triumph. They had streamed his songs endlessly, promoted his name online, filled stadiums during his appearances, and elevated him in every possible way. To them, the recognition was proof that their collective efforts had not gone unnoticed. They saw it as validation not only of Jungkook's talent, but of their dedication. In the fan-artist relationship, this was the moment where both sides were acknowledged together. Yet amidst all the celebrations, what lingered most in the public consciousness was the image of his mother's tears. It humanized the achievement in a way statistics never could. Numbers can tell the story of success, but tears tell the story of meaning. Her reaction reminded everyone that behind the awards, the headlines, and the flashing lights, there was a family watching their son achieve what once seemed impossible. It was the most relatable part of the entire story because at its core, it was about love, pride, and the deep fulfillment of seeing someone you raised conquer the world.